Good morning.
Good morning.
Pleased to be joined with Vice Chair Ted Lieu this week. As always, our amazing Vice Chair of the Democratic Caucus. Last week, we saw core inflation drop to the lowest number since March of 2021, which is good news for hardworking families. The American economy's recovery is among the greatest comeback stories in our time. Because of legislation championed by President Biden, working with House Democrats, we've seen 15 million jobs created, 17 million small business applications, supply chain strengthened, and manufacturing jobs brought home after decades of Republican policies that sent these jobs overseas. Too many people, though, feel that the economy has left them behind. Too many people feel that it's rigged against them. House Democrats understand this. The task of addressing the affordability crisis and expanding economic opportunity is the most important thing that we can continue to do in this Congress. The American people don't understand why buying a home is out of reach, why prices at the grocery store keep going up, and companies are raking in massive profits, or why childcare they need is becoming difficult to achieve and more expensive. These patriotic Americans who just want to work, raise a family, and be good neighbors and citizens deserve our undivided attention, which is why it's so disheartening to see the appropriations process unfold as it has, with extreme cuts and policy riders that Republicans keep advocating. And it's disheartening to see the Farm Bill and the $30 billion in cuts, taking food off of the table for women, veterans, and children. The extreme Republican majority continues to put politics over people, and House Democrats will continue to put people over politics. Vice Chair Ted Lieu.
Thank you, Chairman Aguilar. As Chairman Aguilar noted, core inflation went down. At the same time, Democrats know that prices are high. That's why when we were in control, we passed laws to cap insulin at $35 a month, to require Medicare to negotiate with drug companies to reduce the costs of other prescription drugs. And we're working on now with the Biden administration to tackle the issue of junk fees, to make sure that mortgages are less expensive. And if Democrats continue to be in control, which we're not right now, we'll work on further legislation to lower costs and create jobs, because Democrats are putting people over politics. What are Republicans focused on? Banning abortions, banning IVF, and banning contraception. And that's why Democrats have put on the floor a discharge petition for Representative Kathy Manning's bill that is going to say, no, we cannot ban contraception. The federal government needs to stay out of this. The states need to stay out of this. Donald Trump recently said that he's going to come up with a plan for birth control. No, the only acceptable plan is the federal government should stay out of your bedrooms and allow people access to birth control. I also want to note that a caucus, Chairman Aguilar, in the caucus, we are thinking of Sheila Jackson Lee, and we hope she recovers soon. And I yield back.
Thank you, Ted. Questions? Max?
President Biden slated to release an executive order later today on the border. Curious your thoughts on the proposal and whether you support the action.
Republicans have shown, time and time again that they are unserious about this issue. And I think that's the most, problematic. President Trump tells Senate Republicans to turn back a bipartisan compromise. Speaker Johnson, turns down, the ability to bring something like this to the floor. And that's because Republicans are more concerned about keeping this as a campaign issue than they are about governing and solutions. The bottom line is House Democrats believe we can and should secure our border while opening up more legal pathways that, by the way, have been the reason why we have had success. And success is defined by 2/3 of unauthorized crossings. That's the reduction. It's been reduced by 2/3 unauthorized crossings at the southern border in the last 6 months. And it's because of a combination of Joe Biden's policies to support enforcement and border patrol and give them the resources and the tools that they need, even when House Republicans voted to cut those budgets, combined with opening up legal pathways for people to come into this country. And that's exactly what the Biden administration has prioritized. But we have to do both. We have to provide opportunities for individuals who have family members who are undocumented to contribute and to be part of the fabric of this country. We think that the American people understand that. Individuals who have been living with someone who is undocumented for 20 years or 30 years, they should have that ability to become citizens and to become lawful permanent residents and to become a part of this economy because they are part of the fabric of our communities. And so, we need to continue to do both of those strategies. And I'm concerned that this is just, the enforcement only side of the strategy. But I'm confident that we can continue to lift up programs like temporary protected status, like support for those with DACA, like helping families who have a loved one who is undocumented within their household, spouses, for instance. Those are things that we can do and that the Biden administration should be looking at. And that's what, but I have not seen the full language of the EO. I look forward to reading it when it's released this afternoon.
This afternoon, House Republicans are bringing a bill to sanction the ICC to the floor. How do you feel about that? And do you anticipate Democrats being united against that bill?
The president has denounced the actions of the ICC. I expect a lot of House Democrats to oppose this as being premature. The relationship that the U.S. has with Israel is strong. And the president has been incredibly supportive of Israel. House Democrats provided votes to give aid to Israel and Ukraine within the National Security Supplemental. We're going to continue to be a strong ally of Israel, but we need to ensure that safety and security is a part of that. But we feel that this ICC actions are premature, at this point. And just a reminder that neither Israel or the U.S. is a signed member of the ICC treaty. Nick?
Should the Hispanic Caucus have played a larger role in the crafting of the executive orders coming out today?
I think that the Hispanic Caucus has always, prided itself on having a strong connection to these issues. And our expectation is to work with the Biden administration on policies that uplift American families, including, immigration. And we have sent a number of letters to the administration, made our voices heard. Speaking as a member of the Hispanic Caucus, we've made our voices heard to the administration on the same strategies that I mentioned in response to Max's question, that we believe in border security, but we also believe in the importance of helping families and allowing individuals having more lawful pathways for people to be in this country. Through support for Dreamers and temporary protected status and pathways for spouses who are undocumented. Those are the things that we can and should be working on, and the Hispanic Caucus has conveyed that to the administration.
Mr. Aguilar, are there any political risks for the president if he takes this executive action but then doesn't do the stuff that you're talking about as far as helping Dreamers and others?
I'm going to trust that the president and his team can navigate the politics of November on their own. I'm speaking for House Democrats here and our thoughts and suggestions and advice to the administration, strictly focused on the policy of what's best for our communities. We're in our communities every week. We know what that feels like. We also know the expectations that our constituents have, and I'm trying to reflect that. Did you want to? I'm sorry.
How concerned are House Democrats about the expiration of the Affordable Connectivity Program? Obviously, it did a lot to, close the digital divide. And how concerned are House Democrats that progress is going to be lost with the funding lapsing? And can you just speak to, are there any concerns within the caucus about any other programs that, you know, you all speak about in the legislation that have passed before that could also lose funding? What's your message to the American people about those programs and making sure that they continue to get funding, they continue to get support, so they can continue to make the progress that you all have spoken about during these?
The American Connectivity Plan has been amazing at bridging that digital divide, making sure that your zip code does not, determine whether you were connected, helping to ensure that kids don't have to go to the McDonald's Wi-Fi to do their homework. Those are some of the tough legacies of COVID, honestly, and is the reason why the Affordable Connectivity Plan was put into existence. And our case to the American people might have to wait until November, to be honest with you, but we do it from the position of telling the American people, trust us. We have ideas and solutions on how to make investments in our communities evidenced by the good work that we did. And just because House Republicans refuse to bring up the ability to fund those measures and to continue those measures, please don't give up on the idea that we can do more and that we can do better to connect our communities. These are worthy investments to make, connecting rural communities across this country and even urban communities that don't have connectivity in some pockets. That's worthy of an investment of the American public. And we're happy to make our case. We've done it on the policy side, talking about this funding cliff today. We're happy to make it on the political side over the next 5 months to tell the American people, these are the types of investments you can count on House Democrats when we have the gavels.
Sure. Speaker Johnson and the Republicans could fix this problem with connectivity right now when they choose not to. And if you look at the history of technology, it has made our country more efficient, more productive, and we're essentially denying access to technology for folks from rural areas to urban areas. And this is not only is it unfair, it is actually going to cost us in the long run. I agree with Chairman Aguilar. We need to absolutely make sure that we fund this really important affordable connectivity program.
Next question.
We're seeing a growing number of Democrats, both House and Senate, be critical of that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's expected visit to Congress. Do you support him coming to speak before Congress? And also, how do you make of some members of your conference potentially boycotting?
I can both hold the position that I respect any world leader who's invited by the Speaker of the House and the Majority Leader of the Senate to come and address Congress. I can hold the position that I respect any leader who gets that invitation, while also respecting members' positions that they may choose not to attend that. And I don't think that those are mutually exclusive. And if members don't want to attend, that is their right and ability. I just remind people that the president of Kenya was here a couple weeks ago, and Speaker Johnson said we didn't have the floor time to invite African leader to address the Congress. But now we have time to throw around a bunch of different dates, some that apparently aren't going to happen, and we're told it will happen in the near future. But I think that was just an unforced error by the speaker. Last question.
Brief follow-up on Ukraine, almost the focus for me. A few days ago, administration said that they lifted some restrictions from Ukrainian army to keep Russian targets on Russian territory by using American weaponry, but those are very limited provisions, and Ukraine said it's not enough. Also, Ukraine been calling for Congress for some time now to help lifting all the restrictions. First question: do you think those provisions which administration gave right now are enough? And also how Congress may help Ukraine to lift those restrictions?
I trust that the Biden administration and the National Security Council are working with their Ukrainian allies to give them the tools and the resources and the authorities that they need to conduct the war and to win the war. I trust those conversations are happening, and that the Biden administration is taking the lead on that. I also feel that If there are authorities that Ukraine needs, they will work with Congress and the House Foreign Affairs Committee and Ranking Member Meeks and Chairman McCall on future authorities and what they need. Those two legislative leaders have a track record of working together on important issues, and I trust that this would fall into that scope if they are presented with something that's reasonable, necessary, and needed.
Sure. Last week, Secretary Blinken came to the Foreign Affairs Committee. I first want to commend Secretary Blinken for making the decision to win. He made that decision very early on when he fought to get more air power to Ukraine. And in relation to the question that you just asked, he basically said Ukraine is going to do what they're going to have to do. And what we see now is, at least in Crimea, which is part of Ukraine, Ukraine is using these long-range missiles to devastate Russian military equipment. And we're seeing a very effective use in Crimea. And I know the Biden administration has now allowed them to use it to fight back in Kharkiv. My hope is that these restrictions will be lifted. I support the bipartisan letter sent by our intelligence committee on that very matter. And we're seeing Ukraine becoming better at using these weapons, particularly in Crimea.
Thank you.
Thank you.